If you're struggling with anxiety, one of the symptoms you might be getting are panic attacks. You might be getting panic attacks once in a blue moon, or if you were like me, you might be getting panic attacks every day. And you might even be getting panic attacks in weird situations. One of the situations can be when you're sleeping. You're not thinking about anxiety, you're not worried about anything, you're just peacefully minding your own business, sleeping, and you might be getting panic attacks in the middle of the night with no explanation. Now, this might be throwing you off. And in fact, if you were like me, you might have noticed patterns in the sense that you were getting panic attacks at the same time every night. Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what to do, why it happens, so that you can go back to living fully and freely. So with that said, let's get it started. So in this video, I'm not going to be breaking down the mechanics of anxiety, really what to do to overcome it. If you really want to know, there's some great resources down below. There's a free ebook, and then there's a desensitization blueprint, something where I break down exactly what to do to start responding to your symptoms so that you can desensitize your nervous system. In this video, I really want to break down more situational anxiety symptoms, one of them being nocturnal panic attacks. Now, that being said, what was really ironic when I was struggling with anxiety is I never had a problem sleeping. I was able to sleep really well. In fact, as a kid, one of the best qualities about me, and my mom could even attest to this, is that if I just hit the pillow, I was out. I would pass out. I was like one of the most peaceful sleepers out there. And when I started struggling with anxiety, I could never sleep. I didn't know what was going on. And I don't think for like a whole year, I slept for more than 4 hours a night. And it was really catching up to me, and I was really struggling. And what would happen was every time I would go to sleep, I would be exhausted from the day because I felt like I was going through anxiety symptoms, I was stressed, and my body was just like, I just can't handle it, I need to sleep. So I never really had trouble falling asleep. What I had trouble with was staying asleep, because what would happen in the middle of the night, and I remember it would happen between 4 and 5 every day, was I would just wake up with my heart racing, I was sweating, I had this crazy adrenaline rush, and I was having really bad intrusive thoughts. I was thinking about, how am I gonna get out of this? What am I gonna do? And every time that happened, I would panic. And what I would do is I would get out of bed and I would start pacing. And I used to pace in the middle of the night. And I remember a couple of times my parents would wake up to like maybe get water or something. They would just see me pacing and they were like, Shaan, are you okay? And I would just be stressing out. I was 22 when this was happening. It's kind of embarrassing, but I would go to my parents' room and say, I can't sleep. And my parents are like, you're a 22-year-old guy, like what's going on? And I just could not get over it. I was getting these bad nocturnal panic attacks. So you might be experiencing the exact same thing. You might be wondering what's going on. And one of the best ways that I would describe this, and again, that blueprint's really gonna help you because it helps you understand how to desensitize your nervous system. But one of the best things you can do is understand the mechanics of what's happening. And one of the best ways to look at it is when you're experiencing anxiety, your nervous system is sensitized, meaning your body's producing excess adrenaline. It just is. There's a lot of adrenaline surges. It's doing that because it's assuming that there's a threat or there's danger, and it wants to keep you in that state. Now, what happens over time is because you have this excess level of adrenaline, your body needs to burn it off. And what's interesting is one of the ways your body burns it off is through experiencing panic feelings. You might be experiencing panic feelings, adrenaline surges, and you might not realize, but you're not just experiencing anxiety, but it's also your body's way of metabolizing the adrenaline. And so what happens is in the middle of the night, when your body's restoring itself, what happens is that it just lets go of all the adrenaline and burns itself off. But what happens is when you start experiencing that, all of a sudden you start getting racing thoughts. You might be getting palpitations. You might be getting shallow breathing. You might be sweating. And all these things happen at night. So what do? How do you overcome this? Well, the best thing to really do is recognize that when your body is burning off the adrenaline, the biggest thing you can do is throw everything under the anxiety umbrella. Everything you're experiencing are offsets of anxiety. That doesn't just include palpitations, the sweating, the dizziness, or the shallow breathing, but one of the biggest things is also intrusive thoughts. You're going to be getting a lot of scary intrusive thoughts. What if I don't get out of this? What if it's this? What if it's that? Your mind's going to start racing. One of the best things you can do is recognize that these are just thoughts. Don't follow the thoughts too much. In fact, don't follow the thoughts at all. It's just an offset of anxiety. Then the next thing that I would recommend is just stay in bed. You know what? There's no need to get out. There's no need to pace. You know, when I was pacing, when I was walking, when I was talking to my parents, what I was really doing was I was avoiding how I was feeling. I was trying to find anything to make myself feel better. I noticed that if I walked, I felt a little bit better. If I would talk to my parents and be like, I don't know what's going on, really what they were doing is they were giving me assurances. But one of the best things I did was I just let myself experience everything. So once I started realizing the mechanics of anxiety, what I did was every time that would happen in the morning, I would just let myself experience it all. I wouldn't stop it. And in fact, what I would do is I would do a little bit of mindfulness, meaning I would just watch my thoughts. I would observe them. I wouldn't judge them. I wouldn't try to follow them. I wouldn't try to think my way out. I would just observe the thoughts with no judgment, with no prejudice, none of those things. And I wouldn't let myself get thrown off by the symptoms either. I would just let the symptoms be there and say, do whatever you want. Now, something ironic happened when I did that the very first night. The first thing that happened was I was experiencing that and it was really intense and I really wanted to get out of bed. And the next thing I remember, I woke up the next morning. So I actually fell asleep in the middle of a panic attack. Now, don't put pressure on yourself, okay? Just because it happened to me on my first night, don't say it has to happen to you for the first night too. It might take some time. Because you're in this state, you're also producing excess cortisol too, and that's gonna keep you a little bit more wired. It's gonna keep you awake. So it's gonna be naturally harder to fall asleep in general. So remember to just take the pressure off. But what actually happened was that I realized that, you know, I never had to do anything about this. This thing was gonna disappear on its own. And ironically, here's the most important thing. What I realized was if I decided to wake up and engage with it, what it did was that it would reinforce it. So if I did that one morning, what would happen was the next morning I would feel it again. And it's kind of amazing how anxiety works, because what anxiety does is that it creates all these symptoms and then it wants to see how you react. If you react and panic as if there is danger, well then what you just did was you just validated the anxiety. And as a consequence, the anxiety is going to do it the next day because it's trying to keep you alive. But if you just let it be there, you disregard it, you say, hey, it's totally cool, there's nothing wrong, there's no danger, I'm just experiencing excess adrenaline, my body's burning it off so it can come back to homeostasis. Not a big deal. Do whatever you want, anxiety. Even if I don't sleep the rest of the night, it's totally fine. Do whatever, I'm just chilling. What happens is that your anxiety remembers that, and then what it does is that it starts realizing that there is no threat, that the response it's doing is inappropriate. So I really hope this video helps. I hope it gives you an understanding of nocturnal panic attacks and really how to respond to it. Again, I think one of the best things you can do is recognize how the mechanics of your symptoms are, but that's just the beginning of the recovery journey. So much of the recovery journey also happens much later. It's throwing everything under the anxiety umbrella, including the most intense, debilitating ones. Then it's learning how to respond. And then one of the biggest things that a lot of people neglect are understanding the unproductive thinking habits, the intrusive thoughts, how you identify and how you process and regulate emotion. That's really gonna take you to the next step in the recovery journey. And recovery, it really is a process. A lot of people think if I just can fix my nocturnal panic attacks, I'll be back to living. And I thought that too. And it kind of makes sense, but you will start to see that once you even start getting better from there, something else is gonna pop up. Another symptom is gonna pop up. Another stressor in life is gonna pop up. And it's almost gonna feel like your anxiety doesn't want you to overcome this, and that no matter what you do, there's always a situation that throws you back in. All the resources that I have down below are great. I work really hard on them, but there's almost like a map. But a map isn't a guide always. The best way is having someone guide you step by step. A lot of these things that, you know, I make videos on are still in the very beginning stages of recovery. There's so many things downstream that, like I say, find somebody, whoever that is, whether that's in your community, whether, you know, whoever you feel like you can trust, that has gone through it, who's come out of it, and has helped other people through it. If you can just find those people, really invest in yourself, because really you're investing in yourself and your own recovery journey. If you can do that, then what's gonna happen is you're gonna collapse time, and you're gonna actually be getting a lot better a lot quicker, and you're gonna be able to identify exactly what's going on and focus on the right things, because you might think that the issue is the symptom. You might think that it's the nocturnal panic attacks that's the problem. You might think it's the dizziness, it's the palpitation. It's actually not. Those are just manifestations of your nervous system being sensitized. And if you could just desensitize your nervous system in an effective way, and you can also be making sure that you're doing it correctly and that your progress is normal, if you can go through that, well, then you'll have the peace of mind, and as a consequence, all of this will go away. And one of the best things anxiety can do is that it will give you more than it takes away. I'm telling you, every recovery story that you see down below will tell you the same thing. People that get out of this, they always say, I'm so much more of a better person. My life is so much more fulfilling. I'm doing more things than I ever did before. There's no handicap. And so I want that for you too. So I hope this video helps. If you want me and my team to guide you through the recovery journey, you can hit the link down below. There'll be a short video that'll explain to you how the mentorship works, followed by an application, and you'll actually meet with people on my team. These are my direct teammates. I have about 8 people on my team. You will speak with one of them, and they will actually show you exactly what's going on, see if the mentorship is the right fit for you, and really show you how your recovery journey is gonna look like. So if you're interested, hit the link down below. I'll see you in the next video.